In today's video, we're going to break down the classic bagpipe tune, Scotland the Brave, so that anybody can play it. Stay tuned. Well, hello everybody, I'm Matt Willis Bagpiper, and on this channel I make videos to make you a stronger and more confident piper. If you like this kind of content, please think about giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. I also teach Skype and online lessons if you want more personalized instruction, but more on that later. So today marks the first in a series of breakdown videos where I'm going to take the classic tunes of the Scottish canon, Scotland the Brave, Green Hills, all of the big tunes that every piper needs to know, and we're going to slow them down and open them up so that all of the ornamentation and that everything inside is spelled out in a way where any piper that can play the basic scale and the grace notes can, well, learn these tunes. How are we going to go about doing this? I'm taking the tune, and for the simple time tunes at least, I'm going to slow them down by 4 times. So I'm taking a 4/4 tune. That would normally mean a tune that has 4 beats per measure with the quarter note getting the beat. We're going to start that in 16/4 time. Yes, that's a lot of beats per measure, but it means that our eighth notes, which were once getting half a beat, are now going to be getting 2 beats. They are 4 times as long. A quarter note that was getting 1 beat is now going to be a whole note and getting 4 beats. But it also means that all of our ornaments, things like tarluas and doublings, we can take the grace notes, the sounding tones specifically, which are grace notes in how they're written, but not in how they're played. We're going to take those and open them up so that you could see them as actual notes and where they fall against the beat in the melody. And if you want more information on how the ornaments fit within all of our music, I have a video linked down below and in a card right now with this poster right here where I describe all of the basic timing of the Highland bagpipe ornaments. Check that out. In this video, we're going to break down the first line of Scotland the Brave, first 4 times slower, so in 16/4 time, then in 8/4 time, which is half speed, and then finally at full speed, first with the ornaments spelled out as notes, and then again finally with the embellishments written out as they would normally be in Highland bagpipe music. In the description below, there's a link to the document you see right here, which is the first musical line of Scotland the Brave, spelled out at 4 times slower than normal speed, 2 times slower than normal speed, and then full speed in both a spelled out style as well as the normally ornamented style. That's for free in the link below. Print it out, put it on a tablet, have it in front of you so you can follow along. So as we look at this tune, we can see right from the top, we're going to start with a half note E, make a G grace note change down to an A, which is now a dotted half note, which will get 3 full beats. And you can see the tarlua here, the ornament that would normally fall between the A's, has been now spelled out as a series of notes and grace notes. We're going to go down to an actual low G for half a beat, separate it with a D grace note, go up with an E grace note to A, before then continuing on up to a B, and then into an opened up C doubling, where you can see there's a G grace note to an 8th note C, and then a D grace note to the rest of the C, which happens to be a dotted quarter note or a beat and a half. Let's try that much right now. I have a metronome here set at 88. Now, I would say that's about full speed for most people playing Scotland the Brave, but again, we're taking this 4 times slower, so while it'll be 88, it's really going to be 22. So you can see, you can hear all the bits of Scotland the Brave, but it's way easier to read, and you can see exactly how the ornaments themselves are put together by looking at this right here. And there's an old saying in music, if you can't play it slow, you can't play it at all. So if you're struggling to play this opened up Scotland the Brave, that means any place you're struggling in this version, you're struggling at full speed as well. So I implore you, get it clean at this slow speed. It's worth your time so that you can have the best Scotland the Brave possible under your fingers. We've now discussed the first half of the first measure. From that C that we've completed the opened up doubling on, we're going to go down now with an E grace note, that ring finger, down to a low A. That'll be on a half note, so 2 beats there, before we again go up to another C doubling. So G grace note to C, and then a D grace note to separate that C. That will be a total of 2 beats, half a beat on the first C, and the second C will be a beat and a half, before heading up to an E without any grace notes. From there, we'll hit our high A doubling, again spelled out. We'll go to a high A, and then this high G grace note we're seeing is actually a sweep of the thumb across the hole, and then we're going to hold that one for quite a long time. We can see we have a dotted quarter note tied to a half note. The tie means we're holding the time across. So, in this case, dotted quarter note means a beat and a half, and then the half note is 2 beats. So that's going to be 3.5 beats. The other half of the beat that would make up this entire whole note, which is what the quarter notes are now equaling since we've slowed everything down. The other half of that is the A that we hit at the top of the ornament. Bum, bum, bum. So yes, after we do hold that A for a really long time, we're going to sweep our thumb yet again, this time just for 3 beats, before going down to the grip to the next high A. We can see that we're going to hit down to low G for half of a beat, separate it with a D grace note for the other half of the beat, before finally heading back up to a high A. Those 2 G's separated by the D, that's an ornament called a grip. Again, seen here, spelled out. Then we'll head down to an E from high A, making sure to avoid that cross, making sure that ring finger gets out of the way before these 3 lower so you don't hear a low A or other low note. Then heading down to yet another opened up C doubling, so E, G grace note to C, D grace note on C, then an E grace note to an A. For the moment, we're going to ignore this low G at the end of the line. That is actually part of the light D throw that I have spelled out in this version. We're not going to worry about that now. We're going to try the first 2 full measures of Scotland the Brave. Try this at first without a metronome, just holding the notes for nice long periods of time, making sure you're getting each and every one of these note changes cleanly, clearly, accurately. Then get a metronome going. If 88's too fast for you, then it's too fast for you. Go ahead and slow it down to a speed where you can hit everything that's written out. But when you can get to 88, I think that's fast enough. Again, that's about full speed for Scotland the Brave when played at its normal tempo. Yes, it can be played at 92 or 96 or even 110, but I think 88's a great speed to shoot for. To continue on into measure 3 of Scotland the Brave, we're going to start with the pickup low G at the end of the second measure, right there. Head up to a D, down to a C, and then finally up to a D. This is the D throw, specifically a light D throw, spelled out to be opened up into the music where the 3 sounding tones of that ornament, the low G, the D, and the C, are now written as 8th notes. And when I'm playing this slowly, even though I normally put a heavy D throw in my music, I go ahead and spell it out as a light throw. I think you should be able to have good control of both D throws. And it's really hard to slow a heavy D throw down and have it sound like anything, so we're going to go with the light one. Links for exercises to learn each one of these ornaments in the description below. So again, low G, D, C to a 3-beat long low G to finish it out before we do a G grace note up to F. Now this is quite the note change. This involves moving just about every finger on the chanter. For D, G grace note to F, we're going to actually keep the pinky down for a split second here. We're going to lift the top 3 fingers, these 2 because we have to lift for F, and the pointer finger for that G grace note. And then we're going to lower the top pointer for F, the 3 on the bottom, and then lift our pinky. Do that a lot of times slowly until you can start building up some speed. You shouldn't have to kind of grab or snatch at the chanter to get it accomplished. It should be nice and smooth. From there, we're going to head back down to a D, no grace note this time. So again, make sure that bottom hand gets out of the way to avoid that cross. And when moving to a D, I often put a little bit of lateral wrist motion, kind of like I'm slightly turning a doorknob to help get those bottom hand fingers up and out of the way, especially that pointer finger, so we don't get a single finger drag kind of crossing noise there. Then from that D, heading down to yet another C doubling. There are 19 C doublings in the version of Scotland the Brave we're going to be learning here, so whew, that's a lot. So make sure they're good, clean, and accurate. So that'll be a G grace note from D to C, top pointer up, both down, then a D grace note to separate it before heading back up to an E. Again, making sure to avoid that crossing noise. Top ring finger up before these two come down. Back into a C doubling. So again, G grace note to C, D grace note on C, E grace note down to low A from here. And now we'll see a spelled out grip from A to B. So that'll be low A. We can see we're heading on to a eighth note G, separating it with the D grace note and lifting to a B. If you find that ring finger is dragging, do a couple of exercises where, as you can see here, I'm just kind of exploding that ring finger up and off the chanter. That can go a long way to making sure that this one starts moving when it's supposed to. But ultimately, of course, we do need to move both to get to a good clean B. We're going to hold that for a full whole note. Yes, 4 full beats. That would normally be a quarter note in the full version. There's nothing taking time away from it, however. So we're going to write out all 4 beats. Then from here, we're heading up to an E doubling. Top pointer, top ring off. Top pointer and bottom ring down to get that G grace note to E. F grace note, the middle finger will separate that E into 2. We'll finally then tap a low A to get to our next E after a few beats. Again, this is a nice long note. This is another 3.5 beat E before we put that tap in there. Then we're going to hold 3 more beats before we get to one of the most fun parts of the tune. And I actually mean that, though it is quite difficult, where we do the walk down at the end of the line, which is a lift to F without anything, G grace note to E for a beat and a half, down to a D, which is just an eighth note, then a G grace note to C for a beat and a half before we go down to B, and then a G grace note to A to finish this phrase. Let's go ahead and try the second half of this line here. Again, try playing this without a metronome at first, making sure you can make all of the note changes cleanly. Then try to get a metronome going where you can really count everything out accurately. If you would like the entire tune broken down like this for you, there is a link down below, and you can see it on screen right now, where you can purchase the entire tune, all 4 lines of the tune. It'll also come with MP3s of the tune at all 3 speeds, 4 times slow, 2 times slow, and normal speed. In 2 tunings, B flat, which is the standard tuning for mini chanters, as well as concert A, which is the tuning for the twist trap chanters and other newer chanters on the market. So you should be able to find an MP3 that goes along pretty closely with your practice chanter. Quick note, Patreon members of the $5 or Thistle level and above will have access to this breakdown and all future breakdown materials, so consider joining up and becoming a patron of the channel here. All right, let's move on to this tune at half speed. I'm not going to describe everything again, because I've just, told you how to do everything. However, now all the notes have half the length they did before. I want to point out that the individual grace notes are small, chirpy, percussive motions. I have not opened up the G grace note, the D grace note, the E grace note, or any of the tapping motions. I want to make sure those stay nice and crispy and small. The sounding tones, however, have been scaled to be opened, though now that we're only at half speed rather than 1/4 speed, they're going to speed up as well. So now what were previously half notes are now quarter notes. What were previously eighth notes are now 16th notes, or only a quarter of a beat long. Let's try just line 1 with this metronome. You can hear it's already starting to sound way more like Scotland the Brave at this speed. Let's go ahead and hear line 2. If you find that going straight from 88 at 1/4 speed to 88 at half speed is way too big of a jump, totally cool, I understand that. Slow the metronome down. Let's try that half speed line 1 again at 72 beats per minute rather than 88. So now we're going to move out to the full speed version, but with all of the embellishments spelled out. We're going to keep the metronome at 72, but it's going to be quite a bit quicker because, well, this is the full speed version. You can start to see, though, why we might choose to write our ornaments the way we do rather than as actual 30-second notes as they're written in the tune, because that can be a bit confusing. And again, if you find the jump from half speed at whether it's 72 or 88 or 60, whatever you were playing it, if that next jump up is more than you can get under your fingers and play cleanly, no worries, slow it down. Let's actually take this down to 60 beats per minute and try the full speed version, but at 60 beats per minute. And then just for giggles, I'm going to move on to the bottom one, though, to be honest, it's the same as the one just above it. Just this is how it's written and what you'll see on screen. And we're going to go back up to that full speed, 88, and this thing's going to rip. So that's the first line of Scotland the Brave, opened up so that you can hear every embellishment and ornament slowly, cleanly, accurately, and where it falls against the beat, and then a method in which you can also speed it up. In the description below, there's a link where you can purchase the rest of the tune, both the sheet music as well as MP3s of this being played in two different tunings, again, B flat and A, and at multiple speeds on the metronome so that you can go ahead and try to play along with it to make sure you're matching it. If you think that'd be helpful, please consider purchasing that from the link below. Well, again, this is the first in a series of videos I plan on doing on this with all of the classic tunes. High Road to Gairloch, Green Hills, When the Battle is Over. If it's in the public domain and I have access to the sheet music, I'm going to do my best to include it in the series. And I've pretty much spelled out how I go about doing this. So if you didn't want to purchase the full version, you might want to just get some sheet music out yourself and figure out how to write them out the way I did here. Kind of reverse engineer my process. I'm just fine with that. But if you don't want to go through the bother, totally understand. You can purchase the full tune spelled out in the link below. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you got something out of the video, please think about giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, commenting below, all that stuff. And a really big shout out to my Patreon community. You'll see names now, folks, scrolling up. These are folks that support the channel monthly. I'd love to add your name to this list. These videos, well, don't make themselves, so the support is more helpful than you can possibly know. Consider becoming a patron. I also teach Skype and online lessons. Go ahead and head over to www.commandyourbagpipe.com or email me at the address you see down here, and we'll get you going. I'm working with folks from all over the planet, and I hope to work with you soon. I also have a line of Command Your Bagpipe merchandise like this lovely hoodie, as well as the prescription bagpipe line of merchandise like this mug. But I also have things like this poster behind me, the Highland Bagpipe embellishment tree that shows you the proper timing of each and every Highland Bagpipe ornament. Go ahead, head over to my merch store and let the world know that you command your bagpipe. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I'm Matt Willis, and until next time, cheers.